And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate Show on KCMX News Media 880. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett with you today, and thanks for joining us here on our April the 13th show as we kick into springtime. Hopefully, it's going to be coming our way. Well, one of these days, I guess spring will be here. I'm terrifically excited today because we're going to talk about businesses and buying and selling businesses. And I thought, well, who are some guys who do this? And Don McCoy, who's been on our show many times, used to be with John L. Scott, now is with eXp Realty, and you've done this a while. It's not new to you.
What, radio?
No, not radio. It was buying and selling businesses. You do that a lot.
I certainly do, and I help people figure out whether they can sell their business or not.
Yeah.
But buying businesses, my gosh, Pete, do you realize that it's small business America that carries the weight?
Absolutely.
The big corporations, they get all the attention, but
Absolutely.
it's small business America that hires the most people, pays the most taxes. It carries the weight in this country.
Has the most benefit of the tax laws in the country for small businesses. Anyway, the fellow here in the middle is Jake Rockwell from eXp as well, and Jake's been on our show before, so it's nice to have you back with us here too.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you have I didn't realize that you have quite a background in this topic that we're talking about today. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. No, I've been self-employed for almost 20 years now, and started out
20 years. Good for you. Okay.
Right out of college, 23, bought a brewery here in town, and kind of a failing brewery, and built it up, sold it, got into the internet business, had really quite a bit of success in online e-commerce.
Okay,
built those and sold, and yeah, had some pretty good successes with buying and selling businesses, or building and selling businesses mainly.
Well, yeah.
In fact, his brewery, Osprey Brew Pub, was
Pub,
a member of my Trade and Barter Association,
That's right.
SOTA,
Oh, really? Okay.
that I ran for 12 years in the Valley. One of the businesses I had, thousands of businesses were members of it, and that gave me personally a tremendous amount of experience in dealing with businesses and their values and how to deal with excess inventories and things like that.
Well, I remember back 10 years ago when Joe and I became brokers, I was new to the business, and I was surprised that there were business opportunities listed on the MLSs, that brokers actually sold businesses and had people buy them. That's been going on a long time. So tell us what the situation is around the Valley right now. Is there a lot of businesses out there? Just kind of what's the overall situation regarding that? A little bit. Can you continue?
Yeah, there's constant turnover. People are always looking to figure out how to sell their businesses, but there's two distinctions. One is the business itself or the business with real estate.
Right, okay.
So what we're talking about mostly today is the business itself. People that are busy leasing, and they're renting their brick and mortar store per se, and they don't have real estate for sale.
Right, they're selling just their business, right? And there's quite a bit out there, right, of that? I mean, Jake?
Yeah, there are, and there's, and right now in Southern Oregon, there's mainly realtors that are involved in selling of businesses, and I got my start because people kind of knew that I was in business prior, and then I've had some realtors refer, business clients our way, and but yeah, there's a decent amount of inventory, and but we're attracting buyers through the marketing of those businesses.
And what kind of businesses are generally, if you look today, what's out there right now? Just give us an example of the type of thing there.
Well, there's a large assortment of businesses that are for sale. I mean, obviously you see your restaurants, your lounges, bars, coffee shops, that type of business. You're starting to see a lot of digital companies as well, e-commerce websites, Amazon stores, eBay, internet-based type companies that are for sale. You mainly find, you can find a lot of those, throughout the country, and those can be ran from anywhere. So great for a local buyer that might be looking to buy a business. They don't have to necessarily look at for a brick and mortar type business here in Southern Oregon. We can show them different businesses all over the world that might fit what they're looking for.
Yeah. Do you have my impression of it is that we've got a lot of small businesses, small businesses that have been owned by people for a long time, and they're now at the age, the baby boomer group, that are selling a lot of these businesses right now. Is that fair?
Yeah, and they're doing it different ways. Some of them end up just liquidating, getting rid of their hard inventory.
Yeah, because you wanted your kids to have it, but the kids don't want it. But you put all your time into this thing.
Right.
Why can't I sell it and maybe make some money out of it? Right? Can you do that?
Yeah. How much clientele and repeat business do you have? Do you have a business base of so many people that you can verify you have so much a monthly income coming in? You have actually something to sell.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing. Is a lot of people they don't prepare to sell their businesses. Obviously we're in a catch-22 trying to fight taxes and get as many write-offs as we can when we're running business, and then when it comes time to sell, we need to show we've got to have good books. Otherwise, if you don't have an income and there's no profit there, and you've only created a job for yourself, then all you can sell is a job for someone else.
A job for someone else. So you really want to have a good. You got to have clientele. You got to be showing a profit, right? I mean, if you don't show a profit, you got nothing there, right?
I mean, you got assets maybe, but you really don't have. You can sell the assets for their face value or whatever their value is, but you got to have a profit.
Okay. Now I always hear that people will come and say that I don't show much money. I made a living on it. I made all this money on my taxes, though. It shows that I'm losing money or not making any money, right? How do you get over that hurdle? Because I hear that really a lot. How do you get over that?
Again, it's all in the preparation. It's in your exit plan, and you've got to be careful on what you've got to show that the business can run on your own, run on its own without you. And if you can prove that, then you've got a profit. Now, obviously, people may buy a business that doesn't show a profit if they can look through the books and see that, this might be personal stuff or this stuff that I won't be paying for. I can see a business there. Okay. One of the businesses I bought was not making a profit. It was doing very poorly, but it ended up being successful. I found, I saw just like an investment property, you see that there's an upside and an opportunity. And if you can show that to a potential buyer, then you may have some success selling it.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing, Pete, is we need more buyers out there. People are wanting to sell their business. Yeah. We need more buyers. We need more people to get excited about the American dream again, get out there and take a risk. But you need a team. You've got to have a good tax accountant. You should have an attorney on your side, and you definitely need a business broker, somebody that understands how to walk you through those weeds. And you better be excited about the business you're looking at, have some passion for it, have some knowledge about it. But get after it. Get out there, folks, and look for a business to buy, something that you believe in. I think most business owners end up selling if they don't just liquidate and just cash everything out. They end up selling to an employee. It's an internal. Yeah, sure. That's my experience.
Is pricing? We always talk about price in residential real estate, right? It's always down to price. What about pricing for sellers and businesses? Are they overpricing them? Because we look on the market. Here's all these things, and they're still sitting there. 6 months later.
Just yesterday, I'm talking to a Mexican restaurant, and I asked him. I said, "So, what do you think you want for the business?" Doesn't own any real estate. He's only leasing, but he's got a great clientele. And he says, $150,000. That's my firm. I said, $150,000. Based on what? See, and so there's a whole bunch of things to actually look at, including what do other restaurants sell for that don't have real estate.
Ah, really? Okay, yeah.
You try to get comps.
Yeah. Right. A lot of it, mostly just like any other investment, just like an investment property, a commercial property, it comes down to the return and the multiples. Every industry is different on what a business will sell for. Like restaurants are going to be 2 or 3 times your annual profit and maybe plus inventory, depending on the plus inventory for sure, but it'll also depend on the type of assets.
Right. You two brought up restaurants. Okay, you always hear restaurants are the hardest things to sell, the hardest things to run, and yet they're the easiest things probably to get into. Right? Is that fair?
Sure. No.
How do you become successful then in those?
Well, I've owned one myself. I bought a failing brewery, that brew pub. That that thing was grossing $5,000 a month, And we walked in, and no problem. We quit our $30,000 a year jobs and walked in there to take $700 a month, two of us, with 2 beers on tap and a bowl of pretzels for the food. But we bowed to everybody that walked through that door. We high service. We made friends with everybody that walked through that door. And in that type of business, just like any other business, you have to create regulars, and there's a way to do that, and you build it up. But
what's the biggest impediment you think of keeping people from doing this, Don?
Knowledge,
knowledge or fear of financing or money or what?
You need a team. You've got to have people around you that do know what they're doing in their specific areas, like a good tax accountant, even a business coach. Somebody that understands.
But no one's going to do that.
Do
you think they do?
Probably the biggest thing that people need is capital. Backup of capital. When I bought the brewery, I didn't have it. I was very fortunate and got lucky that we somehow made it. I ate pretzels and drank beer for my meals. But
that's what you said.
But you got to have capital. You got to have enough money to make it. I mean, shoot, at restaurants, 80-90% failure rate. Kind of similar to realtors, right?
Well, what were you saying earlier, Jake? That 75% of businesses fail.
No, 75% of businesses don't sell that are listed, is what I was saying. 75. When a business is listed, 75% of them do not normally sell.
That's shocking.
It's hard.
Why is that?
Probably a big part of it is because
they're overpriced.
Well, they're overpriced, or there's not anything to sell.
Yeah. And the other thing is if somebody's got some money or some means about them and they're looking at buying an existing business, they go, well, why not? I want to go create my own. I want to go do my own deal. So there's a little bit of ego and pride involved there, and people go out. They'd rather start their own venture
and buy one that's
than
already
buy
there.
An existing one. I have seen that over and over again.
Well, I think it's going to cost less, in the long run, but. And I used to think that way, but now it's like, I don't
know. I'm with Jake on that one. I'm like, geez, if I
get a head start.
If I've got something, I've got the money to do it. And again, it comes down to the money. I do have a head start, and I've already got something there. And then you got to learn it, and the passion, all those things created to make it better. But that's the challenge, isn't it? With that. And we got a break coming up here. And one of the things I noticed is that SOU, the School of Business, how many entrepreneurs are out there in our valley? You're one of them. Jake's one. How many are out there in the valley that are SOU business students and graduates and starting businesses and doing all of that? It's really wonderful to see, and we like to see that a lot. Anyway, we've got a break coming up here. We're talking today about how you buy and sell businesses here in the Rogue Valley, business opportunities. We're with Don McCoy, Jake Rockwell. Joe Brett's running the show today here on YouTube, and we're coming right back after this. And welcome back to the Real Estate Show on KCMX News Media 880. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett with you today. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget you can check out any of our past shows at realestateshowOregon.com. There's some terrific shows there. You can sign up for our newsletter as well. And off we go here in the middle of April here of 2019. Interest rates. Interest rates. By the way, we're with Don McCoy and Jake Rockwell here from eXp Realty. We're talking about business opportunities in the Rogue Valley. But interest rates rose a little bit to 4% on that low end. It's really interesting how everybody was saying 4 months ago we're going to 5-6%. Remember that?
They've been saying that for a few years, haven't they?
And look what's happened. I mean, it's just really interesting. So that, of course, keeps a lot of people buying, a lot of people in the market. That's why inventory is rising. That's why, there's a lot happening out there, certainly in the residential real estate market. Today, though, these two fellows were talking about businesses and business opportunities in the Rogue Valley. How do you do it? You look for a business, entrepreneurship. Be your own boss. I hear that probably more than anything everywhere is that. I want to be my own boss.
That's
okay?
right. But
this is a chance to.
But don't do it by yourself. Get some people around you that get it. If you go out there and venture by yourself, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And they could be very costly, and you could end up on your nose
with
arrows in your back, like a true pioneer.
All right, you advocate for getting the group together,
and
it makes it.
You got to
know how to do it.
Yeah,
that's for sure. What about we talked about financing, money? I've heard all sorts of different. People do businesses in many odd different ways. How can people finance? I mean, businesses are really not. Some of them are not that expensive.
Sure.
Well, right? I mean, $100,000 is a lot.
And Jake, I think, can vouch for this. What happens a lot is, of course, the seller, the business owner, wants to cash out. He wants somebody to just give him cash so he can walk. But so often,
so do I, Don, all the time.
So often they end up being owner carry. They become the bank. and that takes some very specific thinking and reasoning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in fact, I mean, when I bought the Osprey, it was an owner carry, $8,000 down, owner carry.
Right.
One of the businesses, one of the internet companies I sold, I did an owner carry, and yeah, I mean, you got owner carry is going to be the easiest form because to get business financing, it's not very easy.
It's not impossible, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, it's but it'll really come down to that set of books and the profitability of that company, especially if there's not real estate involved. And so you've definitely got lenders. SBA is probably one of the biggest sources of business lending, and they're going to be a lot of work goes into getting that loan, but they're going to be the ones that are going to probably approve most of those types of loans.
So the business loans, that's what I've heard from the bankers, that generally SBA backed loans, like an FHA thing, they kind of back the loan, but you have to go through hoops. You have to do a lot of things to get those, right?
They become a partner in a way because they're going to look at you. They're going to look at your credit scores. They're going to see what kind of skin you have in the game. They are going to be very hands-on, and then the interest rate isn't that low. And the time isn't that long. You don't get 30 years
on a business on an owner carry.
Yeah, anywhere maybe 36 months, maybe 60 months.
I'll say 5 years, and then you have to be able to finance it on your own. Correct?
Well, he was talking about SBA, but yeah, owner carry generally you're looking at a 5-year probably on average. But SBA I think is I think they'll go 5, 10, 15 years maybe, depending on the business. But they keep it to where a lower down that you can get with SBA loans typically.
What are generally do you think people? Because a lot of owner carriers out there, what's generally required for a down payment? I know it probably varies by business, but
a good rule of thumb in my experience is 20 to 50%.
20 to 50. To get the seller to say I will do an owner carry
that the seller will carry.
Right.
So he wants at least he wants at least 50 to 80%.
What down
payment? Sure.
Well, they're not going to get that.
Well, why not?
Well, if you're trying to get, like Jake was saying, you're trying to get into a business. I can't. Say it's $100,000. I'm going to give you $80,000. That's all my money.
I got to start somewhere. Come on, Pete.
I think it just depends, but I mean, you're going to have a higher down payment, and
what about an interest rate on that kind of a thing on an owner carrier for a business like that?
Well, for Jake, 10%.
6 to 10, probably
6 to 10. Okay,
6 to 10%, and they're really going to look at what type of business it is, because the biggest risk to doing an owner carry with 25, 30, 50% down is the buyer crashing that business.
Right. And then the seller saying, I'm going to get it back. I don't want to get it back.
Well,
that happens. I know that happens. It really does. I've heard a lot of that happen.
All the time. Absolutely. It ends up. Yeah. And owner carry in typical real estate deals, the seller can end up with it. It happens a lot.
But do you say that most, in terms of the businesses that you guys have been involved with, most of these you guys are saying end up being owner carry?
Yeah, to get it launched, to get something going. That's what I've seen.
Jake's kind of going like this.
I would say the most would become owner carry, but you get cash deals, you get
cash deals,
you get finance. We just financed a pizza restaurant a year and a half ago that it was a solid business, had great books and a great buyer, and they got their own financing.
What about franchises? Can you sell franchises at all? Is that not kind of in the realm of what we do?
The pizza restaurant was a franchise, and so there was a little bit more involved. Obviously, the franchise has to approve of the buyer. The buyer's got to go to a franchise training on that type of business. We currently have a Subway restaurant for sale, and but I don't necessarily sell a lot of franchises myself.
Yeah. Yeah, neither have I, but you would think that a franchise would have a tremendous amount of support for the new owner. It's
I hear all sorts of some say yes, some say no, don't they?
You would think,
What's interesting about franchises, I used to never really have any interest in franchises because I didn't want to pay that 4, 5, 6% out royalties. And but after looking at the pizza restaurant and looking at the cost of the food that the franchise had negotiated on behalf, it was a much lower cost, and there was a lot of value that franchise was offering. Obviously, every franchise is different, but if they are bringing a lot of value, it might be worth that 5%.
Yeah, and no matter what kind of business you have, Pete, the thing is someday you're going to end up wanting to sell. And
Sure.
what I've seen is mistakes that people make is they commingle their funds with their personal and the business.
Okay, sure.
They don't have separate accounts.
Right.
And so to prepare to sell, like what Jake was talking about earlier, it's one of the things you want to steer completely away from. Don't commingle your funds. I've seen that kill deals. And the other thing is you want to have your taxes done, everything in order, and not confusing, and a good profit and loss statement, a good P&L statement.
Clean set of
that
books,
is very
QuickBooks.
clean and that the buyer can understand.
Yeah, yeah. Because boy, you get into some of these and you go, well, I did this and I did this and I did this because of this and this looks this because we did this and you're right. Buyers are going, I don't know what that means.
So no matter what kind of business you have, what you're trying to do, those are things you've got to get in order.
What are the most popular types of businesses, business opportunities out there? Is there any? Or are they it's just a hodgepodge of everything?
Yeah, it's everything. But I would say nationwide, it's going to be internet type businesses, e-commerce, subscription type businesses. That's just
which is even harder to sell, like a service. Is it? Tell
no,
me what you think. No,
you know, I mean, they're very attractive. And when I sold mine, there was a lot of buyers for those types of businesses. Really? It's a lot less hands-on. It's a lot more automated. You know, especially if you're selling products that are drop shipped, you have no inventory. There's a lot of benefits to those businesses, and there's a lot of money that can be made with those businesses.
See, I would not have even thought of that was even something that's out there that you could even buy something like that. Do they advertise those types of businesses out there in the opportunities, or how would people find them? They do. Okay.
Oh yeah,
all right.
That's where I sold mine. But the difference between that business and a local business is you have the whole world as your market versus.
There is something to be said about that. I'm sure. Now, that's really interesting, though. Because I'm used to thinking mostly, mom and pop businesses in town here that are doing well.
That's what I'm used to.
Service businesses,
but people buy products and market them on Amazon and create
businesses. So they're out there also as well, and they are being sold.
Yeah.
Well, that just shows you about the entrepreneurship that we talk about. That's what.
But here's one of the biggest pitfalls or mistakes or caveats that you've got to look out for when you're buying a business. Is okay, we've got clientele, we have customers, okay? For example, a daycare business. Oh, I sold one time. And the people got it, and look at all this cash flow coming in. Look at all the moms bringing their kids and dropping it off at the daycare business. Well, guess what happened as soon as that business sold? The moms went somewhere else with their kid. They didn't know who these people were. It was about relationships in that experience. Yeah. And so they lost all their cash flow, and needless to say, it was very hard to rebuild.
It's a very different
business.
It's a very different business model that Jake talked about, the internet business about shipping stuff you don't even see versus the relationship business. That's out there as well. It's very different, isn't it? Very different. Everything.
See, a better transition would have been the new owner should have been planted in that company
for a month
and
or so,
develop relationships with all those moms and dads that are dropping their kids off, and the kids getting to know them, and then it would have been a smoother transition. Would have held on to it, most of it.
Wow, it's nothing.
It's not easy,
especially in those kind of businesses.
Service businesses.
Service businesses are that way.
But people do really well in them, don't they? I mean, I have to say, you can do really well and make a good living for yourself. And again, the key being, don't work for anybody. Work for yourself. Yeah. We talk about that all the time, right? I mean, look, you're a great example of that. I think Jake. You're probably a great example of that. You and I are old, but we.
We're old.
Well, you know what I mean.
How old are we? Anyway, here's the deal. Jake brought up a point in the very beginning. He said you're gonna get into a business. He says, and can you walk away from that business, or do you have to be there all the time? And remember that famous guy, Robert Kiyosaki?
Kiyosaki, the 4 quadrants.
And one of his key points is if you have to be at that business all the time, you've just got yourself a job.
It's just a job.
All the time. It becomes a job.
You don't own a business, you own a job.
You own a
gotta
job.
run it, though.
And it's like some people who want to sell businesses, you're buying a job.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how much money are you going to pay for that job?
That's right. But if you get good management, good honest employees, good people running it, then you've got an asset.
Yeah. And people want to see.
Isn't that right?
Yeah,
leverage.
Okay, but people want to see the owners. Don't you think? Is that or is,
They do.
So you're more internet oriented over here than I think more than
no. But
we're brick and mortar, old school.
I've had the brewery. I've had but it's having the right people that are in the face of the business that can replicate what you can do. And there's people in my business now that can work with clients better than I can. And so it's like, hey, you talk to them, so it's all about who you put in place.
Yeah, and it is about relationships and business and doing all those things to make it successful. And it is a lot of hard work. But the rewards are great. That's what I've always found. The rewards are monumental, can really obviously change your life, and that's what it's about. It's like when we say you buy your home, it changes your life.
Especially if you get leverage into it, and you can step out of the business and and have the business continue to grow without you being in every part of it, and that's that third quadrant, really.
Someone told me real estate's 24/7. Huh? I can buy a business and maybe not do that.
I don't know. Jake's got it kind of figured out.
I don't know. I got to figure it out myself.
He's already had about 10 trips this year. So.
Anyway, well, we got one more segment to go here. We're with Jake Rockwell and Don McCoy. We're talking about buying and selling businesses here in the Rogue Valley. Learning a lot from it. It's very interesting to put this in perspective for us. Anyway, a topic we've never talked about. Anyway, we got one more segment to go. We're coming right back after this. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show here on KCMX News Media 880. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett with you today. And thanks for joining us here on KCMX. Check out our website, realestateshowOregon.com. Got some terrific shows out there for you, so hope you'll check them out on YouTube. Today we're with Don McCoy and Jake Rockwell here with us from eXp Realty. We're talking about business opportunities. I love business. I mean, the laws of this country were built for small businesses. It's a great way to, earn money, be your own boss, all that kind of thing. So we're talking about how do you buy them and how do you sell them. We got tons of people you said that. They got thousands of businesses out there.
Yeah, it's the essence of America, is small business America.
And they're going to sell, right? How do you the question is always just pricing them.
Yep, you need a good team, and Jake's got one.
Right? How do I price it right?
Well, obviously the first thing that we do is we're gathering as much information as possible. We're looking at we're getting what set of books they have. If they don't have a clean set of books, we're helping them put that books together, gathering statements, bank statements, invoice.
So you even go to that way to help.
That's why
because as Don said, you got to have the books have to be clean, right? Yeah. So you're saying you'll even go get that together.
We will, but then we take that to a certified, CPA that is going to do their analysis. They're going to analyze it and give us, let us know what they think. That way we have a third party that can provide some type of information to a buyer.
Sure.
And then we're researching what kind of business it is, what type of industry it is, and what is normal for that type of business, and what should it sell for. And we have an idea on a certain amount of types of businesses. If it's a new business that we're not really familiar with, then then there's a lot of research that goes into that to determine what that type of business should sell for, whether it's looking at other businesses that are similar and seeing what their multiple is. There's obviously there's a lot of information on Google. And
what I do is when I sit down with a business owner that wants to sell is I have a 10-page data sheet. And not all of it applies, but you go through that and it fills in the blanks to give a general idea of how that business is being run, who all the contact people are.
There's a formula for that kind of thing. Interesting.
It's all kinds of information, what the cash flows look like, all that backed up with a P&L, backed up with taxes, and a non-disclosure agreement for the person that wants to come in and look at all those details.
Those information,
that NDA gets signed, and in there, there's these remarks that say, "Gosh, don't take this information and go create competition, or else." Right. And that keeps the honest people at bay.
So, but even if you go through that, when you price it, as you say, you're not necessarily going to sell there, and it's just still a market of what someone's willing to pay for that business,
and it's location too. And if it's a brick and mortar, you have to have good traffic. This kind of thing. If it's that type of a business with inventory or, like you say, a soft service,
Yeah, and the type of business. I mean, obviously, there's certain businesses that are going to be more attractive to people. How long it's been in business. A restaurant that's been in business for 20-something years is going to, probably fetch a little bit higher price and attract more buyers.
Yeah, and I know that, boy, the hospitality industry, I mean, all these different places come up. I mean, everything from resorts that are out there to, you get the mom and pop pest guy, who've had a business for years and selling. They're retiring. I mean, I just can't even, the people that I see anyway are, because we're all at that age and they're retiring, and what are they going to do with their business? Yeah. And I think that's something that, again, so many people are dealing with now.
Those are probably some of the toughest businesses to sell, when you have a single serviced a single owner selling his service business, very few employees, and he's the main person. Very difficult to sell that business. That's difficult
to sell, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there any easy one? There really is there. I don't say easy, but they're all unique and different. So it's not
something with great cash flow that the seller's willing to carry with no down.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
It comes down to the cash flow, the set of books, how long they've been in business. That is going to be a business that's going to have the highest chances of getting sold.
Of getting sold. Where you can find a lot of the business opportunities on the MLS, on any of the websites,
Sure.
your regular realtor websites. There are others out there. I mean, businesses, aren't there? I mean, other websites that people can look at that have this kind of information.
Jake has one. He's created one special, and that I put some of my businesses on.
Power Business Brokers is a local brokers that we created separately, but Biz by Sell is probably one of the biggest ones nationwide.
Biz by Sell.
Yeah.
Keep that note down.
That's for just different businesses with no real estate typically,
right?
But it can have both. And then there's LoopNet, and LoopNet wants real estate.
LoopNet owns Biz by Sell now.
Yeah. Oh,
believe it or not. So if you go to list a business on LoopNet, it directs you to Biz by Sell and vice versa.
Okay, all right. So they do that, but there's a lot out there. I mean, there's hundreds. There's a lot of businesses in Jackson and Josephine County out there. Some do have real estate, which is a little bit different. We understand that, but a lot of them are business opportunities.
And people put their businesses out on Craigslist.
Yeah.
And gosh, that's one. It's another avenue out there, and it's free. But gosh, be careful with Craigslist.
That's how I bought the Osprey.
It was off through Craigslist.
No, that was a long time ago. So that was the newspaper.
Newspaper.
Still print those.
How about that? What's a newspaper?
They still do. They still have that kind of thing. Well, okay.
But Craigslist is you've just got to really double check anything you're doing on there. If you're thinking you're going to buy something or rent something or something,
well, the biggest thing is don't do it yourself. The biggest thing is don't do it yourself, right?
No, that's the biggest thing. And not a scam.
Even if you find a business on your own, call someone like one of us or a business broker that can help you. It'd be well worth paying some kind of nominal fee to walk you through it and have a third party help you analyze the business.
Yeah, because you don't want to do that part on your own, especially if you're going to put up cash, down payment. And as Don says, in the end, what you really want is have a business that has a good cash flow, and you have some money for down payment, and the owner willing to carry it.
That's right.
That seems to be the three steps to success, so to speak.
And you got to have the records to back it up. You've got to have bank statements and the proof.
And then one of the things that helps take the pressure off of that kind of a transaction you just described is have an escrow. Make sure that all the transaction is done through a third party, a title company, and they will do that. They'll help you put all that together for a small fee every month. They'll disperse the funds out back to the seller from the buyer instead of directly to the seller.
Yeah, no, you don't want to
get very complicated.
You don't want to do it on your own. Just like buying a house. I mean, you don't want to do it on your own. You want to have help and do it the right way.
Right. You can
protect yourself. I mean, you don't want to have. That's absolutely true, because I can see a lot of problems coming from that. We've only got about a minute left. It's an interesting topic, isn't this? It keeps you guys pretty busy. I know you really like this.
I put some listings up and different types of businesses and things on Biz by Sell, LoopNet, and I get phone calls often from people. Gosh, we want to sell our business. What do you think? And so I'll take a look at it. And one of the positive things is, whether it goes or not, is you've developed another relationship
Sure.
in that you can possibly help somebody.
Absolutely.
Somebody's family member or friend or something like that, even if it doesn't turn out.
Well, we need to have more entrepreneurs out there and more people willing to buy a business and to get into this. And there's a great variety out there. Jake, I didn't realize how much there actually was in terms of the internet and those kinds of. There are actually businesses.
Just go to Biz Buy Sell.
Profitable, and you can do those things, and you see them on Biz Buy Sell. There's also a website just for restaurants and bars. I'm trying to think. I've been blown me. I can't remember that, but there's some out there. So please check them out if you get a chance to.
And there's another one for inns, Innskeeper.
Inns?
For bed and breakfasts and for Airbnb type
Yeah.
setups. There's special websites to sell.
Yeah.
But that usually has real estate with it.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate picking your brains. It's been fun to hear about this and look what is out there, what we may be able to do, and opportunities for a lot of people to make a lot of money. That's what we really want, right?
Thank you.
We want you to make a
Absolutely.
lot of money. If you make a lot of money, everybody's happy. Yeah. And so good luck with that. And of course, you can check these guys out. How do they find you?
Yep. Don McCoy Real Estate at gmail.com is my email address.
You can Google Jake Rockwell and you'll find him a lot of places, right? And good luck to you. And thank you for sharing that with us today. Well, that'll do it for the Real Estate Show today here on KCMX. Check out our website, realestateshoworegon.com. We're back next week with another terrific show. In the meantime, have a great week and God bless you all.